Distinguished members of the House of Representatives, ladies and gentlemen, I rise today as a matter of personal and collective privilege. The right of suffrage is one of the pillars of our democratic and republican state. It is the exercise of the people's sovereign will to govern and be governed by their chosen representatives. We vigilantly guard this process of exercising and determining the sovereign will of the people because the Constitution states that sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. Therefore, it is always imperative for a democratic country such as ours to have transparent, fair, honest, and credible elections. The first and one of the most critical steps in the exercise of the right of suffrage is the registration of voters. We have passed laws to ensure that eligible and qualified voters are not disenfranchised. We guarantee that we always conduct continuing registrations to preserve the right of suffrage of those who reached qualified age and those who moved domiciles. We implemented the biometric system to create a clean and updated voter list. We even made it convenient for our people to register through our Register Anywhere program. We bring registration centers to malls, schools, and other public venues. This is to make sure that our citizens, not otherwise disqualified by law, can exercise their right of suffrage. Yet evil does not sleep. The old and evil way rides with the change of times. Mr. Speaker, my fellow representatives, it has been reported that an anomalous influx of new voters is being detected in several barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces throughout the country. No less than the Commission on Elections revealed the highly irregular surge of new voters in areas such as Batangas, Makati, Nueva Ecija, and Cagayan de Oro, to name a few. A 5% increase in new voters is normal, but a 10% or 20% increase is a red flag. It is even scandalous to see a 40% increase in the voting population, and there was a report of a 54% increase in voter registration in just one barangay. These increases defy normal statistical patterns. In the words of our COMELEC Chairman Garcia, is there a gold rush going on in these areas? Normally, the increase in voting population is mainly brought about by the following factors: migration of people due to increased development and economic activities, and a higher percentage of children or youth transitioning into adulthood. It has been observed that the barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces with an unusual increase of voters registered no significant surge of economic, business, and employment opportunities. Their children or youth population is not big enough to remarkably increase the voting population beyond normal. On the other hand, an abnormal increase in the voting population is primarily due to unscrupulous individuals enticing voters to transfer registration with the promise of money, employment, assistance, or other services in exchange for a favorable vote for a particular politician. There is nothing new with this scheme. In traditional political maneuverings, we call them flying voters. Today, these flying voters have landed en masse and registered as new voters, but they will never establish domicile in that area. As proof, almost 40 newly registered voters shared a single address. We also found out, as did the COMELEC, that flying voters were able to register successfully because of the anomalous issuance of residence certificates in barangays. Our people's desire to change residences and register as new voters for reasons of opportunity, comfort, and convenience has become a convenient excuse for politicians to justify such actions, even though they are contrary to social and economic assessments. Even then, it is one thing to change residence, and it is another thing to register as a voter in your new location. Article 5, Section 1 of the Constitution sets the qualifications for the exercise of the right of suffrage. It says, suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law, who are at least 18 years of age, and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year, and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. No literacy, property, or other substantive requirement shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage. The pretext of transferring residence for personal desire has become a cover for unscrupulous individuals and politicians seeking political advantage. This illegal practice must be condemned and stopped. It undermines the integrity of our electoral system. It deprives Filipinos of a legitimate representative and leader. It destroys the foundation of our republic. It subverts our democratic system by denying our people their true sovereign will. Mr. Speaker, I humbly urge this august chamber to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the anomalous increase of new voters in some barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces. This investigation will uncover the scheme of transferring new voters to areas for political gain and expose individuals who orchestrated such illegal acts. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, it will help us identify the flaws in our existing election laws and allow us to craft new ones to protect the exercise of our people's sovereign will. I leave you with a quote from the ruling of the Supreme Court in People versus San Juan. It states that for the sovereign will of the citizen to remain undefiled at the starting level of its expression and application, every assumption must be indulged in and every guarantee adopted to assure the unmolested exercise of the citizen's free choice. For to impede, without authority valid in law, the free and orderly exercise of the right of suffrage is to inflict the ultimate indignity on the democratic process. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Suwan to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Lord Suwan is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Edgar M. Chato of the 1st District of Bohol to avail of the privilege hour.
The gentleman from the 1st District of Bohol, the Honorable Edgar M. Chato, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our dear colleagues, 128 years ago, on this day, the 4th of November, the tranquil province of Bohol was graced by the birth of a person whose life has inspired many Filipinos, whose leadership has given tribute to Dagohoy's memory, and whose legacy has forever placed Bohol in the books of our country's political history. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I stand before you today proud and at the same time humbled to share the same heritage with the Philippines' 8th President and Bohol's most illustrious son, President Carlos P. Garcia, born on November 4, 1896, in the municipality of Talibon. Each year, Boholanos celebrate the birth of this man by virtue of Republic Act 7448 as a special non-working holiday. November 4 is both a day of celebration and a day of reflection. Indeed, the life and legacy of President Garcia befits the honors given to him each year along the initiatives that inspire the new generation to live by his ideals and examples. Specifically for today, there were two prominent events that marked this year's celebration. Both happened early this morning. First, the National Museum of the Philippines made its historic opening of the President Carlos P. Garcia Gallery in its museum in Bohol. And second, the provincial government unveiled the marker of the newly renamed President Carlos P. Garcia Circumferential Road. As a precursor of these events, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, last June 15, 2024, the Garcia family turned over donated memorabilia of President Garcia to the National Museum in a ceremony held at the Spoliarium Hall of the National Museum of Fine Arts in the city of Manila.